Hey guys, what is going on? Randall419, the man with the million, back with another daily video. This time it is going to be a review of Resident Evil 7. It's been a while since I've reviewed a AAA game, because it's been a while since a AAA game has come out. I do pretty much play all the AAAs as well as all the indie games that come out on the Xbox One, so let's talk about Resident Evil 7, shall we? This is, obviously published by and developed by Capcom. I'm not sure of the actual developer's name, but let's just assume they're Capcom. The big thing about Resident Evil 7, especially in comparison to the other Resident Evil games, is they made the switch to first-person mode. Previous Resident Evil games were all in third-person, even the ones on PlayStation, like Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, they were third-person, like top-down, fixed camera angles. And then with Resident Evil 4, they added the over-the-shoulder camera, which pretty much every game since then copied. So you have Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 from the 5 and 6 from last gen, which, in my opinion, started to drag the series down. And I'm not the only one. If you go on Metacritic, you can look. The series has kind of been dragged down. But here we go, Resident Evil 7, they made the controversial and welcomed switch to first-person mode. The setup for the story is you are Ethan. Your wife has been missing for 3 long years, and mysteriously you get an email from her saying that she's in this place. So, being the husband that wants to find what happened to her missing wife, you hop in your car, drive down to the Louisiana Bayou, and you arrive at this swamp with an old-looking mansion. And pretty much hijinks ensue. It's pretty much the beginning of pretty much, I know I just said pretty much a few times there, but any horror movie you've ever seen, especially the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that is a very apt kind of movie comparison to this. But I gotta say, Resident Evil 7 has renewed my faith in this series. I thoroughly enjoyed both playthroughs. That's right, I've beaten the game now twice. I played it one time on normal. Took me about 10 hours and 45 minutes to complete it on normal, and I've sped run the game on easy to get some cool items that you unlock for my Nightmare playthrough, Madhouse playthrough is the one you beat for a bit. So I sped run the game on easy. I beat that in 3 hours. I mean, obviously, once you know the puzzles and locations of all the things to do, obviously you can beat it pretty fast. But I have to say that I greatly enjoyed this new switch to first person. Yes, some people will say they're just maybe following trends. Outlast is a pretty big horror game, and I would agree with that. Because I really do love Outlast. Outlast 1 is great, and Resident Evil has definitely taken some cues from Outlast, which is good in my opinion, because I wanted Resident Evil to return to its horror roots. It kind of left that with Resident Evil 5 and 6, especially with 6. I mean, come on. That game was kind of ridiculous. You had a freaking T-Rex as a boss in that game, so I wanted, and all the fans wanted the return to proper Resident Evil, a proper horror game, and it seems like, they accomplished this with the switch to first person. Also, this game reminds me a lot of Outlast, kind of mixed with Silent Hill 2, and Silent Hill 2 is a great game. Here are the antagonists of the game, the Baker family, and they really make the game. They are some great antagonists. You have Jack Harper, who's the head of the family. You have Margaret, who is the wife, and you have Lucas, who is the flippant son, along with old grandma, right? But these characters, and the first 2/3 of the game where you're in the house trying to get out of the house and escape, is the best part of the game. These characters are amazing, especially Jack, the way he will come after you in certain scenes. So good. I loved everything about these characters, and it was a shame when you had to fight them, as you do in video games, and then they were spoiler warning, I might get into some spoilers, so be careful, gone afterwards. I feel the game is at its best when you're in the house and the surrounding properties. The first 2/3 of the game is absolutely fantastic. I would rate that a 9, but the game kind of does falter towards the end. It stumbles a little bit trying to cross the finish line, so I'm gonna dock points for that. And let's talk about some of the things I like, some of the things I didn't like. Well, here I'm gonna be showing off some combat. The combat's good. It's not great. The gunplay's nowhere near as good as Call of Duty or whatever, but it's serviceable. In some spot, you know those like old like AA games from on the 360 era where the gunplay was pretty bad. It's better than that, but it's not amazing. It still though feels really good, especially when you got a shotgun and you're close range and you're just blowing these molded enemies' heads off. I'm currently using a pistol you get for beating the game as an unlock. I also have a circular assault for beating the game in under 4 hours. These are cool things the game gives you. And the combat's just, good. It's not great by any stretch of the imagination. The game looks good, and I actually think the game looks pretty good. There are spots where the textures don't load in properly, but it is what it is. I think for what it's going for, it captures the atmosphere and that they were going for greatly in this rundown, disgusting-looking old house in the bayou. Like kind of like everything was kind of rotting and rusted out in Silent Hill 2. But yeah, the puzzles the first time through aren't that great, but they're okay. And that's the thing about this game, right? So when you're in the mansion, it feels really big. It feels open because you're like, oh my god, everything, this place is huge, but it's kind of like a fake open world. It's a lot smaller than you realize, and it's very linear in that sense. Like, you come to closed doors you can't open, and then eventually, like, right here, you'll get a key, and then you use that key to open up those doors and progress through. So it's a very linear game, even though it gives the illusion of an open world game. And then towards the end, where it falters, it becomes a little more actiony, which I didn't really like. I preferred the close quarters, running out of ammo, running out of, not a lot of ammo, but you got to fight these enemies, and what do? I preferred it like that, but all in all, Resident Evil 7 is a great game. If it had stuck the landing in the last third, I would have given it a 9, but it didn't. It faltered at the end, so I'm going to give a game an 8.5. I really hope they stick with the first-person aspect for Resident Evil 8. I'm really excited to see where the future of the series takes it. So yeah, 8.5 for Resident Evil 7. If you guys liked the video, hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel for more content. I do have another video dropping later today. And I will see everybody later.